Hello and welcome. Today we've got Jerry Hauser, who's presenting classroom management, setting off in the right direction, staying on course. Thanks so much for joining us. Jerry, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. We are recording, so just keep that in mind. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you, Liz. As Liz said, I'm Jerry Hauser, and thank you for attending today. If you have questions or comments, please use the chat. And remember that your comments and chat are visible to all who are attending today's webinar. I'd like to begin with a poll. So my first question is, I am a faculty member or grad assistant. My second question is, I am in a STEM discipline, yes or no? Okay. Okay, let's do the second question. I am in a STEM discipline, yes or no? Okay. The third question, I'm going to read a statement and ask you whether you agree or disagree. The correlation, strong, medium, or weak, between student perceptions of instructor effectiveness in classroom discussion about sensitive or difficult topics and a sense of belonging at CU varies by race or ethnicity. The correlation, strong, medium, or weak, between student perceptions of instructor effectiveness and discussion about sensitive or difficult topics and a sense of belonging at CU varies by race or ethnicity. Agree or disagree? Okay. So let's share our results. Okay. So most of you disagreed with that, and one of you agreed. All right. Well, we're at the beginning of a semester, and every semester starts with a new group of students and a new opportunity. It's a chance to introduce them to our course content, to be an instructor who helps them learn and grow in their expertise and as human beings. And also a chance to enter into a collaborative learning process we share with them. Each group of students is new and presents unique challenges to make our course an inviting environment. That means that the instructor, you, are more than a conduit of information. You're also a person and a personality. And the environment of your class is directly related to you. As instructors, we need to acknowledge that how we come across can influence the class dynamics and our students' perception of the learning environment we're in. So how we begin the course matters. And on day one, we need to spread good vibes. We want to consider three elements that contribute to a positive class environment: developing good relationships and rapport with our students, communicating clearly, and establishing consistently managing the classroom. Some preliminary considerations about students belonging at CU. In 2014, CU conducted a social climate survey, and follow-up surveys since then on selected topics suggest that the results they received in 2014 still seem to be on target. Students were asked whether they agreed or disagreed with these statements about CU instructors. Instructors help students improve their ability to take seriously the perspectives of others, especially those with whom they disagree. Notice that about half of African American students and 40% of Latinx students disagreed with this statement as expressing their experience, that they did not find that the instructors help improve their ability to take seriously the perspectives of others. Another question, instructors successfully manage discussions about sensitive or difficult topics. Again, notice that about half of the African American students disagreed with this statement as reflecting their experience. The survey then report examined whether there is a correlation between instructor effectiveness and a sense of belonging as measured by composite variables, so variables all pulled together. And here you'll notice that the correlation coefficient among African American students between instructor effectiveness and a sense of belonging at CU. The composite variables suggest that the effectiveness of the instructor at managing the classroom is a significant influence on how these students gauge whether their university is welcoming and that they have a sense of belonging. Moreover, there appears to be a relationship between a sense of belonging and performance. Students with a high sense of belonging and perform better than students with a low sense of belonging, which is to say, the atmosphere in your classroom contributes to student academic success. And this brings us to the considerations I mentioned earlier for establishing and maintaining a positive learning environment. First, developing good relationships and rapport. The first day of class is important for getting your relationship with your students on the right track. In the first day of class, you're going to pass out a course syllabus and you're going to discuss the course syllabus. And you might consider that course syllabus as a roadmap for establishing expectations and norms for collaboration. To consider the challenges and accessibility that you're going to face this semester with, for example, virtual environments, because in a virtual environment, you won't have access to body language and other nonverbal indicators of meaning and reception. So being explicit on norms is especially crucial. You're going to want to pay attention to the problem with cameras on. You may want to have cameras on, but you probably should have a discussion with students because you may have international students who may not wish their images to be captured. For example, women from Muslim countries may be wearing hijab, not be wearing the hijab while in the US, and they don't want their parents or their government to know. You'll want to talk about standards of evidence, where to get reliable evidence, how to be rigorous in the use of evidence, critical thinking. And because you're in a virtual environment, for many of you, why is attendance important? But regardless of whether it's virtual or live, you're going to want to discuss why attendance is important. For some classes, it's absolutely critical. Second consideration for positive classroom management is clear communication. You want to discuss the norms of classroom exchange of ideas, being respectful to others, providing evidence, listening to what others say, being curious about their ideas, and so forth. You notice that the ideas that are present here are mostly about communication. And it's a good idea on the first day of class to have this as a discussion topic. What kind of classroom culture do you want? What would be a good class for you? What environment would help you to succeed? Where do you think you are going to feel most comfortable having an exchange of ideas? What behaviors are out of bounds? Avoiding behaviors that are going to make collaboration difficult. For example, making derogatory statements about another. You want to be careful if you're in a virtual environment about private messaging among students. And so you probably want to restrict the Zoom chat feature to allow only messaging with the entire class or you privately. And you also might want to discuss what students may expect of you. Students should have a say in this. What's your interest in what they have to say? Do they expect you to support claims with evidence? To keep the discussion on topic. What about students who are hesitant to contribute to a discussion? How would they like you to handle that? In some classes, you may have students who are hesitant to contribute, but if they're called on, they'll feel okay. And in other instances, students would absolutely dread you calling on them to contribute if they've been silent. So that's a topic for discussion. Remember, you're forming an agreement, and it's important that students have a say on the classroom culture they want. And that also gives you fallback if trouble rises later. Expectations, after all, were by mutual agreement. The third essential is to establish and consistently manage the classroom. Consistency. And so the first thing you want to do is keep your promises. You want to keep to the syllabus. When we have students visit the Ombuds office with complaints about instructors, it's sometimes those complaints are, well, my instructor gave us a syllabus and I had planned my work around that syllabus, and now the instructor is making last minute changes. It's messed up with my work schedule. It's messed up my other courses I'm taking, my projects that I'm working on, getting work done on time. So it's important that you think ahead, plan the syllabus, and keep to the syllabus. Secondly, you want to observe class norms. The discussions that you had on the first day about the norms for the class, norms of behavior, in terms of discussion, in terms of evidence, in terms of attendance, in terms of ways that they interact with each other, are constitute an agreement, and you want to hold them to that. And then finally, you need to be able to address disruptions so that you don't let the class turn into a drama. What's a disruption? CU defines disruption as a behavior that a reasonable faculty member would view as interfering with normal academic functions. From a teaching perspective, when such a challenging moment occurs, it's important that you not to escalate the tension. You want to address disruptions and don't let a crisis turn into a drama. So you want to avoid reacting emotionally or aggressively. Take a breath. Don't personalize the situation. You want to hear what the student is saying. You want to come from curiosity, not judgment. Ask clarifying questions to assist in understanding intentions, and ask for evidence that led them to their position. It's really important to remember, especially for students who are in their late teens, in early 20s, that an important part of the experience of college is discovering their voice. And so a lot of times students are experimenting with ideas. They're experimenting with arguments. They're trying to figure out what they believe and why they believe it. And so rather than thinking about comments that you may find extreme as an indication that you're dealing with somebody who necessarily avows extreme and possibly dangerous views, to rather think about this student is trying to find his or her voice. And I need to help them to figure out what it is they're saying and why they believe that, which may, in fact, if it's an extreme view, lead them to reconsider some of the things that they're saying. You want to acknowledge the student's conviction. Then you might, if ask others to weigh in if it's on topic, or if you found the student's comment problematic, to share what you observed as problematic in a factual manner. That is to say, the specific behavior concerned. For example, they made an ad hominem or attack upon somebody who just spoke, or they didn't have any evidence to back up their claims, or the evidence was weak, or their reasoning was weak. They're engaging in poor critical thinking. There's logical fallacies in what they're saying. You want to avoid creating an adversarial relationship where there is no room for movement, but rather have this as a teaching opportunity. You don't want to punish the non-disruptive students, so allow limited time to talk about a comment that disrupts the material you are presenting, and acknowledging the student as having a view that they clearly feel strongly about and that you would like to explore further, but right now you can't. Then put it in a parking lot for later consideration, or suggest the student see you afterwards for private discussion during office hours. If the behavior is a derogatory statement about another student, you want to explore its impact. Ask for and/or state the potential impact of such a statement or action on others. In all these instances, you're looking for educational opportunity in a challenging moment. You also want to be proactive in discussing difficult topics. And dealing with difficult topics is different from dealing with challenging moments in the class. Here, your concern is with how to manage discussion when the topic itself is an area of potential controversy. So if you're dealing with a difficult topic, you want to start every discussion with an expression of intellectual humility and the possibility that you may be wrong. You want to give the class permission to fumble forward to give the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes people have ideas, but they don't know how to express them. And they're afraid that if they express them, the way that they express them is going to cause others to be offended. And so as the instructor, you can create a permission to fumble forward, to make a statement that no matter how awkward it may seem, we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt of a good intention so that we can explore it and refine it and perhaps get it to work, and get it into a more felicitous expression. You want to think about spontaneous assignments. A discussion breaks out, and now, well, let's next time gather evidence and come prepared to discuss. And you want to invite students who have things to say but are reluctant to share them with the class to see you. If possible, then you also might consider sitting among the students rather than in front to indicate equality in this discussion. Often the way our classrooms are organized, the instructor is at the front, and that's a position of authority. So sitting among the students really takes away some of your authority in that instance, and levels the playing field, which may free students to express their ideas. And remember, and to remind your students, that First Amendment rights apply in the public square, but there are consequences in the classroom. They don't have the same protections in classrooms as they do in Norland Squad. So there are three key takeaways, I hope, from today. First, communicate clear expectations, establish a connection to your class, and think before you act. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. This is Liz. Let's go ahead and open it up for some Q&A. Feel free to use the chat box to ask any questions you'd like of Jerry, and this will be your time to have some dialogue. And while you're thinking of questions, and I'll keep watching for those, I did include some links related to this presentation that you might find helpful. You can feel free to cut and paste them. We'll also send a follow-up email to all the registrants with these links, so you have them available to you there as well. Okay, Jerry, I don't see any questions coming in quite yet. Any afterthoughts you wanted to add? You've got a few more moments. I see some people are dropping off, and if you do have to go, that's fine. But for those of you who are here, anything you want to add, Jerry?
No, other than the first day of class, I always felt was crucial for and a time of great excitement, meeting new students, a new semester, a new opportunity. It's one of the great blessings of teaching, that every semester you get a fresh start, and so not to be squandered, but to be embraced.
Sure, and that actually ties in nicely with one of the questions that just came in is, what tips do you have for engaging students on that first day, especially those first-year students?
I think that you might ask them about the title of the course, what they think this course is about, why they registered for the course, what they hope to get out of the course. In my case, I taught classes in rhetoric, and so there's a public understanding of what rhetoric is, which is mainly shifty talk. And so I would ask the students, well, define rhetoric, and then I would put the definitions up on the board, and that would give us a chance to really go through what their initial perceptions were, and get to what we're not talking about and what we are. I think also establishing some sense of how the class is going to proceed. So going back to the course syllabus as a roadmap. What's going to happen in the class? What are you expecting of them? If this is a class that's going to have discussion, then they're going to be collaborators in the teaching process. So it's really important that, number one, they attend class. Number two, that they be prepared. And number three, that they contribute. And why that's important, to anything that can help them feel that this is their course, not your course, but their course, is a good thing to do.
Thank you, and thanks for the question. That's a good one. All right, well, I don't see anything else coming in. Jerry, thank you so much for providing this presentation today as part of our Ombuds Office Lunch and Learn series. And for those of you, I do want to, Carrie, I don't know if you have it handy. I lost it. Let me go find it. I was going to put the link up to our Ombuds Office Lunch and Learn webpage. You can just go to Ombuds Office and look under Lunch and Learns. There we have all of the recordings of previous sessions that you may have missed. And we will also be, of course, adding more programs as the semester continues, and you can register there. So thanks again, and have a great fall semester.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you, Jerry, and thanks, Carrie, for adding that link for those who are still here. Thanks so much. We'll add that in a follow-up email as well. All right, have a good day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.